Hello and welcome.
Right. Okay. Hello, we're back. We're back to the show. Cherish Violet Blood is with us today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we were just laughing before we started taping. And I was worried about whether or not we'd get into that laugh fit where we would just continue laughing. But it looks like we controlled it.
Yeah, that never happens with me.
Never happens. Okay.
It's just like stuck there. What?
So you got a great name. It's like you were already destined for stage.
My mom's a writer, so she picked it. I think she said she got my name Cherish from a really good-looking, curly-haired little French girl on the plane back from Paris.
Okay.
But Violet's my grandmother's name.
Okay.
And Blood is my grandma's last name because I'm named after her.
Okay. And you're from the Blood Reserve as well in southern Alberta.
The Cherish Violet Blood Reserve.
Oh, there you go. There we go.
Just kidding.
And how long did you spend there before you decided to venture out into the big world?
Off and on, we've lived on the reserve, but it wasn't really a place that my mom wanted us to be.
Okay.
Because her mom told her, like, if she moves away from the reserve, not to move back. But we did move back because my mom got a house. But we've lived in, like, BC. I've lived in Calgary. I've lived all over the place.
Okay. And now you're based in Toronto, is that correct? Was that just more a career decision? Because, everybody comes to Toronto because it's, the center of the universe for...
Well, it was either, like, Toronto or Vancouver, but...
Okay.
I don't like the rain, and I thought for some weird reason there'd be no rain here, but surprise.
Well, there is less rain, to be fair. But yes, I love visiting Vancouver, but I couldn't live there.
No, it feels like too weird. Like, I feel like I'd be Eeyore, like, all the time.
Right.
Because even being in Seattle for that little bit of time, it would, like, be rainy and all of a sudden sunny, but then rainy again.
Right.
That's not fun.
Yeah, whenever I've been to Vancouver, I've just had the fortune of it's never rained. Like 9 out of 10 times, it's never rained. The one time it has. And then one of the locals said that they called that the recruiter weather. So you go out there and you think it's going to be like that all the time, but when you move there, then it's raining.
Oh, right. Yeah. Surprise.
So there you go. So you're a writer, actor, storyteller, and comedian.
Somewhat of I started out as a comedian.
Okay.
When I was like really young. I think I was 12 when I first was doing stand-up.
Right.
But then it was going good and everything like that. But then after a while, I started to get like really cocky about it.
Okay.
And I was like young, really young. And I would start to show up to shows like not prepared for the audience that was there.
Oh, I see.
So then it started to like take a toll on me and stuff like that. And then I got really bad stage fright. Like at about... I think 20. I was around 20, 19 or 20. I got really bad stage fright. So I stopped doing all of it. Okay. Because it was too much. I'd be like going there and then I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
And then like throwing up or whatever. I was like, it's not worth it. Like I was like, it's too much. Like I just get stressed right out. And then that's why I went to theater school.
And that's for the Center for Indigenous Theatre. That's where you attended. And that was back, I think, 2007. Was that back then? Okay. Yes.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
No, it was like 2007 is when I graduated from there.
And what was it like going to CIT? I heard a lot of great stories from the people that have attended there. They've gone to bigger and better things. So,
I think I got what I needed to get from it.
Okay.
There's like certain parts that every kind of experience, there's things that you don't like and then there's things that you do. But what I went there for, I got. Like, I was able to figure out how to like work through like stressful feelings and stuff like that. Because I'm prone to anxiety. So
right.
After learning like breathing techniques and all that kind of stuff and different things to set myself up before I have to actually do it.
Right, okay. And was that one of the reasons why you wanted to attend CIT?
Yeah, that's like the main reason. I grew up with actors and artists like my whole life. Like my mom surrounded us with them.
Right.
In that way, I have like a privileged like upbringing in that way, like growing up with all these artists. I never wanted to be an actor.
Okay. No aspirations of becoming the next Marvel movie or no? Okay.
No, I didn't. No. But I don't know, how do I, like when I'd come home sometimes like from like, because basketball practice, like I was like into sports like
Right.
my whole life. So I'd come home from basketball practice and I'd notice our house lights are really dim and I know there's candles on in there. So I know my mom's writing with somebody. So I know I'm going to take a shower and then I'm going to have to read her new script.
Okay.
So no, it wasn't fun.
No. That sounds like fun. It's better than coming home and like taking out the garbage or doing dishes.
Yeah, but
or,
not after you finish like basketball practice or a game. You just want to
Okay.
like chill out. But her mom's like, come on, read this.
And you were kind of a big athlete in high school.
Yeah. I played like everything, but basketball was the main thing. Like,
The main thing.
It's a real big sport with Blackfoot people.
And what position were you?
All of them.
Oh, okay, great. And now I was reading somewhere in a bio or a story about you that you had you were apt to skip math class. That was your least favorite subject?
Yeah, that was off. I still am way too pretty for math.
Okay. I think a lot of people are. Look what it does to people.
It was just like, it's one of those, like, you know how they say like a person uses one side of their brain
Yes.
and then the other side. So the mathematical part of me, it wasn't there. And nobody could ever explain it to me. So I'd just get stressed out about going. I'm like, forget it. I don't need it. I'll do something else.
We got calculators and smartphones now. Like I think on Google you could type in a mathematical equation and it'll tell you the answer.
So even to this day, like real simple things, like I don't even like, if someone starts like talking like math or whatever, I just get like all stressed out and I'm like, next.
I see. Okay. So there'll be no math test at the end of this show.
But I did have like a really good teacher who raced me once.
Oh, okay.
So she's like, because she caught us all skipping. And then she's like, if you beat me back to the classroom, you can skip.
Oh.
So we all like took off running.
Okay.
And we didn't know that this like old lady like ran like miles every day.
Oh my goodness.
in
Okay.
the morning. So she beat all of us teenagers back to class. We got back there and she was already standing in there.
Oh, wow.
And so we were in there then.
And they were there. Okay.
Yeah.
So let that be a lesson to you kids.
Don't underestimate.
That's right. So getting back, I guess, to acting, you were in the production Dear Woman, which got a lot of great reviews, and that was a part of Article 11, and that's Andy Morrow and Tara Beagan's involved in that.
Yeah, that's their company.
That's their company. So how did that come to be working with them?
So the story is, just kidding. What happened? Tara was writing this play. I think she went to like a writer's workshop or whatever in Banff.
Okay.
And she
at the Banff Center.
Yeah,
right,
at the Banff Center, where all of us go to escape.
And it's beautiful there. Yeah, it's
It is
wonderful.
beautiful, but you can never
Absolutely.
sleep because it's like too crazy. But yeah, so she went there and she was writing this Dear Woman. And I think she said she got halfway through or she was almost done or she couldn't finish it. So her and her partner Andy were like on a road trip and she had gotten him to listen to it. And then he said, do you know who can play Dear Woman? And then she's like, who? And he's like, Cherish Blood. And then she's like, right. So it helped her finish the play knowing who that she was possibly writing it for.
Okay.
And I went to Calgary and I was reading another one of her pieces at the Alberta Theatre Projects called Honor Beat. So I was in that piece, like just doing like a reading for them. And she approached me with the idea of like doing it. She's like, I have this other project and I wanted you to like take a look at it. And then just the context and everything like about the story itself, I was already like getting scared about it because of like the people's reactions and stuff like that, just because of the content and how the play ends and all of that kind of stuff. And I was freaked out because it's a one-woman show, you know?
Right. So you got to carry it all.
Exactly.
That's
and so
right.
like if you forget, like you're not,
That's
what
right.
are you going to do? Just stand there.
And you have
just
no one else to blame it on.
Just like, and she
That's
sleeps. But yeah, so in order to like be able to do it, I usually run things through my mom.
Okay.
She has a really good like, I don't know, she's someone who I respect her, right?
Right.
So when I did ask her about it and I was like, Mom, can you read this script and maybe tell me about like if I should do it or what do you think?
Okay.
So she read the script and then she was like, my mom was like right away, like called me like half an hour or whatever after she read it. And then she was like, fuck yeah, you do this script.
Right.
And she was like, you think about like, I'm glad you in Edmonton and they've like, it's such a awful case. Like she was killed in this hotel room and then the guy gets off because his lawyer or whatever said that it was like rough sex, but she was stabbed, right?
Right, that's right.
And they cut her like pelvic area and vagina out and brought it into the courtroom without even telling her family. So if that kind of stuff can happen to us, then telling a story like this is nothing, right? So yeah, that's one of the main reasons that I did it. And we've been like to a lot of really awesome places with it.
Right. And did you also tour with that? Like, I mean, was that part of the international tour? I remember seeing you somewhere overseas in New Zealand as well.
Yeah, we went to the Kiama Festival in New Zealand, in Wellington. And that's one of the first places that I really kind of got to like try to like put it on its feet. But at that point, there is like no way that I was even like, I wasn't off book. Like it was so much, and I was, it's 90 minutes. And at that point it was longer. Like it was still in its like, she was still doing rewrites and like fixing and stuff like that. But at the same time, I was probably like too like stressed out to.
I see. Right.
And not understanding how much work it is to like actually get all of that text into your body and to remember it. Right. That's like, it's.
Do you have a secret to do that? Because every other actor I've talked to, they've had a different technique.
Yeah.
Some it's repetition, learning the lines. Others, they try to identify something with that character.
I think with me, it's more of mapping out the story.
Okay, right.
So I know where I am, right? So if it's I'm talking about something, I'm like, I'm here, and I just got to get here, and then after I get there, then I'm here, and it's halfway, I'm on the way home,
Right.
But yeah, it's just, you have to like repetition, of course. It's work,
right?
And
how long is it?
And over
how long? I guess pre-work or study do you have to do before you actually start rehearsing, say on a stage?
It depends with that one. I had to do lots and lots of like I did. I think I started doing the text work 2 months before we went, because I was like, of course, like stress, and then your body does weird stuff, right? When you're trying to like cram it all in there. Right. I'd help like from people and stuff like that. Like Dear Woman has like a really great team. So it's like, it's not just like one person doing it, right? It has to be like a unit. Right. And I think that's the only way that a play like that could exist, right?
Right.
And Andy and Tara are like really supportive.
That's right. Andy does a lot of the set design work as well.
Yeah, he was the director.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. I know I worked on previous productions with Andy, and I've always been fond of his work, especially, his set design, and he does some other projections and things. He's quite the multi-talented sort of artist as well himself.
Exactly. So that play, Andy made this set into like this really small like touring thing, so we can go places with it. So all we'd have would be like 2 rolling projectors in these bags, a big huge like a ski bag, with the set, because it rolls up, the set would be in there, and then there is another a cooler, because I sit on a cooler, and all of the character Lila's stuff is in the cooler. But when we'd go through customs and stuff like that, it would look like we'd be traveling to their country with a kill kit. It's like they open it up, and there's like a machete, a knife. There's like a big plastic thing, army like stuff.
I see.
They're like, so what are you guys doing?
But they know you're there for theatrical purposes,
usually,
of course.
Because when you go in, you have to sign all the papers and stuff like that.
Right,
but it just looks crazy. And I'm always the one carrying the cooler with all the like really awful stuff.
That's right. You carry the cooler in case there's a problem at customs. That's right.
But when we went through, I think, I can't remember where it was. I think it was Abu Dhabi.
Oh.
Because we were in Edinburgh, right? And so from Edinburgh, right after that festival was done, we went to, we were going back to Australia. And so on the way, that's the way we went. And so on the way, we had to stop there. And then when we got to Australia, all of our stuff went missing.
Oh.
So it's like we had to do like, oh my God, they had to like run around like just the day we got there.
Right.
And then I got a day off, of course, but like, the rest of them, they basically just wrote down everything that they needed, and they split it into a thing. They gave it to people, and everyone took off all over the place, like getting the props. And so the first show that we did there, it was like all brand new stuff, which was crazy. Right. Like, if you're not used to it, it's things like even like what we were talking about, like when you're remembering like the story and stuff like that. Certain things have like a weight to them, or it's like the way that you're holding it or whatever. It's the color in it. It helps you remember what you're doing, right?
Right.
it's like everything has a place.
Right.
And so it's getting all this brand new stuff. I was like, yeah.
Right. And did you ever get the materials back?
The next day.
The next day. Okay. Was it just held up somewhere?
I don't know, but there's a certain knife that went missing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, it's kind of crazy. There's like a fake penis in there. Right? So it's like all like mangled and whatever, and so it's like, what do you guys do?
That's right. Yeah, what kind of show is this?
Yeah, for real. So that was one of the things.
So is that also the first time you've traveled overseas to these places?
Yeah, I went to Australia like years ago with. So one of the first times that I did read Dear Woman. At the same time, I did another one-woman show from Australia called The Weekend, and it was in the Wasagichuk Festival.
Oh, okay,
so one week I did The Weekend, and the next week I did Dear Woman.
Right.
And they're both one-women shows.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, and then after that, I met the company, Muglin, and they brought me over for Sydney Pride, basically. It's called Mardi Gras. That's what they call it.
Okay, right.
But the one that they brought is the Koori Gras, so that's the Indigenous one.
Okay.
And so I went there and I did like, I think, a week and a half long workshop with people to develop their own characters, and then they had like a cabaret kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And they all performed like what they had worked on.
Great. That's fantastic.
That was the first time I went there. So then the second time was Sydney Fest. That's the big, huge performance thing. And then the third time was with Dear Woman.
Dear Woman.
Dear Woman was Sydney Fest too.
Okay, Sydney. Okay. And do you notice any differences between, say, Canadian audiences that have seen Dear Woman versus the international audiences? Or are the reactions similar?
It just depends on like who is in your audience. Okay. If it's an Indigenous person, like of course they get it. All of our stories they overlap, you know. But when I was in Edinburgh, like sometimes I'd just be like, oh my God. Because it's like older, like theater, like white people.
Okay,
you know?
right.
And so like, I swear to God, like I think we did the show like 24 times there. Every day at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And so it's like older people after their dinner and they're in the front row and I'm talking about this real messed up stuff and there's one of them just sleeping.
Nodding off. Okay, I see.
It's like, what the fuck? You're messed up. But when you go touring around there, all their tourist stuff is about death anyways.
Right. Well, there you
Come
go.
in this tomb.
Oh, yeah,
there was a plague here.
I know. That's right. They're always glorifying some sort of massive death or something, right?
Come walk through here.
And how was the food then in Scotland? Do you have the haggis and any traditional
No,
foods?
I wouldn't. I'm not adventurous like that at all.
No, neither am I. Don't worry.
No,
I'll never eat
as soon as
stuff.
like you can't tell me like sometimes and I'll eat it and I'll be okay. I'm one of those people that will force myself if somebody made it.
Okay.
You know, like if you're invited somewhere and they made it for you, I'll force myself to eat it.
Then you'll try it.
And I won't say anything. But if we go somewhere and they're like, would you like? And I'm like, no, thank you. Basically, just I survived on dumplings.
Oh, dumplings. Okay. Well, those are
because
delicious.
there was a really awesome place like down the street. And lady started to know me after a while because I was just like, dumplings, please.
Well, it seems like every continent has a version of dumplings in some sort of way. So.
Yeah, well, they're like food and everything was like, I think I was really craving a vegetable when I left there.
It's hard to find vegetables, so yes.
Everything
Ones that
was
aren't deep fried. That's right, yes.
Just everything was fried. I was like, hey.
Well, I mean, other than the food, I guess it was a good experience to travel and see new parts of the world.
Yeah, totally.
And did you ever think that when you got into acting, leaving CIT, that you'd be traveling the world?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay. So that was on your... Okay. Yes, of course. Of course I did.
Well, because it was like basically how it goes. And what made me really like it again was, of course, going to theater school and then thinking about like what I wanted to do with it.
Right.
But also my mom, those were her goals. Like that's what she always wanted to do. She always wanted to go to Edinburgh. And then I went.
Oh, really?
And then even our show, Dear Woman there, like our group, Article 11, we got an award from them. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's like 20 given out and we were the ones that got one of them, which was cool and awesome. And so doing all these things is also a different way to impress my mom instead of going to university, because that ain't happening.
Sure.
I tried 3 times.
Oh, okay.
It's like, it's not, I don't like this.
It's not for everyone. I think it depends what you want to do as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can achieve your goals without getting that diploma or that degree or whatever it is that you're trying to get.
I can't. be scheduled.
Right.
Like every day, like doing the same thing. Oh my God.
I know.
I'd be like,
so you would never work a 9 to 5 job?
No. I have. I used to work at a casino.
Oh, okay.
I had like a whole bunch of old Blackfoot ladies that would only take my change because it was lucky. Oh,
okay. And did a lot of people win from your change, or no? Okay.
I don't know. Okay. But it was like, that was the worst.
So what's, I guess, next on your career horizon? You've done some one-woman shows. Are you looking to continue that? I know before we started taping, you said you were looking more into film because with COVID has shut down kind of the theater scene.
Yeah, I am going into looking into doing like more film. Like I just finished a film, Scarborough, and it premiered at TIFF.
Oh, great. Okay.
And so I was like really excited about that. It's an awesome film. I was like I'm totally proud of that work.
And what's the synopsis? What's the plot roughly?
Scarborough is about these children that grow up in Scarborough.
Okay.
Like it's based here. It was written by Catherine Hernandez.
Oh, Catherine, right.
It's about like some children, I think three children, and they're all best friends. So it tells the story of each of their families. So, of course, there's I think a Filipino family, a white family, and an Indigenous family. And my mom is like, "What part do you play?" And I was like, "The Filipino mom, duh." But no, and so it goes through and it shows like all of their stories, and of course some of them are sad because that always happens, right? There's always something.
Right.
The family, like my family, is made up of like my husband, my daughter, and then my son, who's autistic. So it shows how the daughter kind of gets ignored because of the problems,
right?
And,
I see. Okay.
That arise in trying to get the son help. Right.
Right. Okay.
So it's beautiful. It's a great story.
Great. And is it available in wide release yet, or
no?
Not yet?
But it actually got picked up for distribution before they even showed it.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, so it was like really awesome.
There's a lot of great films coming out of Canada, and even just locally. There's also Dennis Goulet's film, which we have yet to see.
So that's what's exciting about like going into film, because there's lots of Indigenous film and TV and programs like that are happening right now, and it makes you excited to do it.
Absolutely.
Because maybe I won't die.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like I'm always dying.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what kind of roles are you looking for? Or is there anything specific or anything you don't want to do as an actor?
I don't want to do like...
romantic comedies? Or
I don't know, maybe, because it'd probably be really funny.
That's right. Okay, right.
I'm open. I'm open to things. Okay. But I don't want to play like the typical silent native girl,
right? Standing
beside some guy while he talks,
right?
Like, but that's not. Okay. It's not even me in real life.
No, of course not. That's right. So, do you find it sort of easier to play characters that are more you're kind of already, that person already, or do you have to kind of bring something out in you to, if it's a character who's not really even has any characteristics of, say, yourself?
Right, I don't know. I think every time that you take something on, automatically there's going to be parts of yourself that get put on the character, right?
Right.
Well, for me anyways, sure. I don't know about like anybody else doing it, but I find that happens with me. And another, like we were talking about tricks and stuff like that, and how you...
Right.
So if I relate in some way, then I can play off that to build on other things, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's like every character is just, it's going to be...
Right.
me.
Now, if you had, say, for example, unlimited budget, say you won the 649, or you had a big producer come up and offer you kind of, here's money to do some sort of project, creative project, what would it be?
Oh my God, for reals?
Yeah, because we have a suitcase in the next room. It's got your name on it. There's no money. It's only cut up newspaper, but it's just
geez, I don't know. I would have to consult myself. There's so many great things that you could do, but it would have to be like, holy, that's...
The romantic comedy.
My rom-com series?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know.
It's difficult.
I don't know, because like people, it does say like they're like she's a writer, but I don't write like that, like how other people do. I usually go into the studio and then I'll like figure stuff out, and it goes through improv and then storytelling. So my writing comes from my storytelling, and it's trying to flip it into that, but it always turns out to like, I'm one of those people who have to sit there, tell the story to the computer, and then it like,
right,
and then go and like edit it and stuff.
Right.
But I'm not the type of person that can sit there and be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's gonna go here, and then it's gonna end up here, and this is gonna happen, and then I have all these like.
You kind of feel it out more as the components of the story start becoming, I guess.
Yeah, because that's where it comes from. Like that's right. I started off as like stand up, and of course it gets into storytelling, and then listening to old people tell stories. So then I have to retell those stories to younger people, right?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, that's where it comes from.
So what's the big difference between, say, elders, telling their storytelling versus sort of, we'll call it the new resurgence of Indigenous artists, like we were talking about film and even music. Mm-hmm. They're telling their own stories, more in a, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, maybe in a more contemporary sort of way. Right. So, but the tradition of storytelling is still continuous. I think that's very important. And do you see that continuing strong as we move ahead, like with all these new productions and all these new avenues that we have now to present our stories?
Absolutely, I think so. I think that's where we learned it from, mm-hmm. right? Because we've been doing it for millions, thousands of years.
So it's almost like it's like a natural.
And a lot of people like they have it. Like they just have that in them to be able to tell like a really awesome story where you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
And you want to listen to them, right?
That's right.
And then there's some people you're just like, holy shit, like where are you going with
That's right.
Just like it keeps starting over.
That's right. Yes. I know some people like that. Maybe that's what put the guy to sleep in Edinburgh that time.
It just never ends. It's just like, oh, wait. Okay, no, this happened.
That's right.
Keep restarting their story.
So do you have like a novel or a play that you're working on secretly, or a film script?
I guess there's a bunch of ideas that are going around. Okay. Just like a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I want to say that, but I'm very lost in like time right now. Like it's like, what day is it?
Right.
But so I think it was last weekend. We got together. So there's a few women that got together, and they filmed like a kind of like a version of a sketch comedy show. So everyone wrote. Okay. And then we all went there and we did it.
Oh.
And there's this other thing on, I think I'm getting more into sketch. I think I want to write that. Getting back into comedy and stuff like that is kind of scary. And I wanted to try stand up again.
Okay.
Not right now, because it's still like there's a thing that happens to my body, and it's like, don't do it. No, don't do it.
We won't ask you to do an impromptu set then.
Exactly, but it's like, I just like when you have to like push yourself to do something that really scares you, because in the end you'll be like, okay, I did it. And that was fine, right?
Well, sketch comedy, that's often funny. What about like an Indigenous version of Saturday Night Live?
That's what I think we were writing.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of us there. And then I also did a radio show of sketch comedy written by Catherine. Okay. And it's called Imminent Disaster. Oh. It's on Audible.
On Audible, okay. I'll have to look into these things. I'm not familiar with all these...
that's the thing. Like,
I don't know how to use TikTok.
Oh, I know. Hey, I don't know. Like that's another thing. It's like as soon as COVID happened, we were all expected to know how to do like all of these things on the computer. I'm like, really? Can barely type. That's why I'm like, oh, so you're writing on something? Yeah, just like this. So I'll be finished in like 20 years.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because when COVID happened, it's like everything changed, like you said.
Yeah.
Everyone had to become somewhat technologically savvy, and I know some actors were having to do their auditions, like just taping themselves via their phone
I'm so
Zoom.
bad at that.
There's such a disconnect, right?
Yeah, there is, because especially when you're doing like auditions for theater or for like, and you're doing it by yourself in your apartment.
Right.
And there's no reaction.
That's right, there's no feedback.
That's what it's for. Like that's why I like theater, because I like the instant of like the energy transfer, and I like that feeling of like when an audience is like really with you and they're breathing and everyone's breathing together. I like that. Right. And then there's film, and they're like, "Hey, your daughter just died. Just go with it, and then action," and you're just like, "Holy shit!"
Because it's almost, you have to jump into character like that.
Yeah,
versus
and all
theater,
over the place.
It's like a sort of continuous story where you can build your character live in front of the audience.
Yeah, like the energy and everything like builds, and you can like go through like that, right?
Right. But yeah, film seems very unnatural that way. It's okay, cut, Now,
but there's some people who are super skilled at it and really like awesome to watch. Like you can watch them when they work and you're just like, holy crap, like just tune in like really fast, right?
Right. It's almost like a switch flips in their head, I want to say, right? And they become
they
someone...
They could be like sitting there and they're like, ah, ha, ha, and then they're like, hey, you're up. And then they just do it. And I'm just like, wow, that's awesome. But it's a different skill set, right?
Yeah. So other than, I guess, COVID kind of slowing down the business, did it affect you in any other ways as an artist? Whether it's working with other writers or artists, I guess you could still exchange files, I imagine, and stuff. Or
I don't know. It's like it really. I've had like a really tough time with it, especially like the fact, like what we were talking about earlier, like not being able to see anybody.
That's right.
So then you get into like, and I get into like these really like lolly things where it's just like I don't want to do anything and I don't talk to anybody.
Right.
Start signing contracts with 1999.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been like I've actually been really fortunate to like not really have to audition for theater ever. Like a lot of people are like familiar with my work, or they've seen me, or I've worked with certain people, and so I get a lot of work like that. That's the thing I'm struggling with in film and television, because it's not something that I've really ever had to really do. Okay. And I'm older now, and it's like seems like to try and switch into that is like it's hard, but I'm actually doing it, so it's like, it's fine. But it was scary at first.
And do you have a preference?
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna starve to death.
Right. Do you have a preference, theater versus film? It sounds like you enjoy more, right? Because of the immediate sort of reaction.
Yeah.
Versus
totally.
The reaction.
Instant gratification.
Versus reaction you might see a year from now when the theater shows your film for the first time. Or
I'm that weird actress on film sets that when I'm done my scene, can you clap?
I've always found it weird when people clap in a movie theater. It's like they can't hear you.
Or on planes. Oh, that just bugs me. I'm just like,
who's
oh
it
my
for?
God.
The projectionist guy in the projection booth. Oh, thank you. Well, I pressed this button here.
Just like tearing up a little bit. Just
So I guess what sort of advice do you have for other Indigenous actors? Say they're growing up somewhere in a small community, and they have aspirations, not necessarily become a huge Hollywood star, but they want to also be on the stage and kind of display their talents, as well as maybe write their own story. What kind of advice do you have for these people?
Well, that's the thing I was looking at now, because what we were talking about, remember, influencers or whatever that are on like TikTok or YouTube and stuff like that.
Again, yeah.
And I'm just like, if you want, like, if you're serious, like, about being, like, an actor or going into, like, film or whatever, or even behind the camera, you need to get training, because it's really super frustrating to work with someone who's, like, done something like that. Right. And then you get there and they don't know, like, the rules, and so then you're just like, oh, my God, okay.
Well, what's a basic rule? Like, I'm not in acting, but what's say I showed some talent and I showed up on
So like one of the main basic rules, and I know that if you did this to somebody, they would like yell at you if they're like a senior artist, and that's like, if you're another actor and you try to give notes and direct another actor, they can by all means go at you, because it's like, you just don't do that. There's certain things like etiquettes, right?
Right. I was working on, and I won't name names. I was once working on a set where the actor tried giving the director notes, and that was a no-no. Oh, yeah. There was all kinds of language.
But some people are so crazy when they think like that. I'm like, slow your roll.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So I guess it's just kind of learning the business and being humble and humility and all that.
Exactly. And then by that point, then you can like develop your own processes into how you do things. Like not everything is going to work for you. Not every single thing you have to use from like instructors and stuff like that. They'll teach you different techniques, but it's not necessarily going to be the thing that works for you. Right.
And then what are some of the pitfalls to avoid? Because there's probably like... I'll assume like scumbag agents and all kinds of people, like in the music business, trying to just take money from people and not really providing a service.
That's one of the main things. And I was told this by I've had like the fortune of being like, I've had lots of mentors. Right. And so one of the main things is that in order to protect yourself, to like when you are going into acting and stuff like that, for one thing, an agent should never ask you for money.
That's right. That's correct. That's right.
As soon as like you go, because you gotta like, I was told, always remember that they work for you.
That's right.
So it's like in that kind of thing. And there's certain there's unions and stuff like that you can look into to see that they're legit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you don't just like go and walk into like some office and then you end up with a agent do you remember Friends? Remember Joey's agent?
She vaguely,
was like,
yes. That's right, yes.
really crazy.
Right.
She just had like stacks of
That's
paper
right,
and she's
yes.
like, I got a part for you.
Right. So avoid those people.
Exactly, because it just seems too crazy. And also like communication with the people that you're working with and stuff like that has to be open, because otherwise you'll avoid a whole bunch of extra work for yourself.
Right. So do you recommend people get out of that small town or community and go to a major center, or they can still do something?
But I just think training, just find a program that works for you and that is going to help you like get to where you want to go.
Right.
Depending on where that is.
Depending on where I think everyone's got different goals and stuff. Yeah. So if you didn't go into acting, what would you have done otherwise? What was your fallback career, or did you have one? Because a lot of people, artists I talk to, don't have a fallback career.
That's one of the things. So I went to university because I wanted to be a geologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a really long time. I'm that rock lady.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hey, you know those things?
Well, that's interesting. Okay.
Driving down but then after that, the other one too is I like building stuff.
Right.
So even like earlier in theater, like when I started like trying to get into it and be like more professionally actor wise, I did everything else. I did set building. I did like all those kinds of stage management. Like, so I kind of worked in all different facets of it just because that's what you have to do.
Right.
Like you kind of have to know how to do a lot of stuff, right, in order to survive.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I probably would have been something like a mechanic or a carpenter.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I like doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like taking things apart and putting them back together.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, and I think it's good for actors that have done, say, these other roles, because now you know what those other roles are, what the stage manager does.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Because that's a tough
And then
gig.
you develop a respect for them, and then you're not you know. So it's
you're
like
not giving them
has
attitude right. Because being a stage manager, it's very demanding, right? Especially on some productions where there's a lot of cues that have to be called. See, I'm not really in theater, but I just overhear things.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So,
totally.
They're kind of like almost in charge of the production in a certain, once it's actually rolling.
Well, that's like just because of me having like experience in being like an athlete and stuff like that. Right. Sometimes I look at a whole production as a sports play.
Right.
So it's like in order for me to get through to like the next thing, right? So it's like follow the map to like get through, especially with like choreography and anything like that.
Right.
I just look at it like I'm doing like the movements, but it's...
Because all the movements, like when people see a theatrical production, all those are pre-worked out because you have marks where you have to be to hit the light in certain ways. So there's no... You're not ad-libbing necessarily from
just
point
like,
A to
wow,
point
she's
B.
amazing.
Right. That's
just
right.
Every time a light comes on, you're just there. I know,
that's right. It's like, wow, how did they follow that?
Magic. Totally, yeah. There's all these things. There's so much stuff that you have to learn. That's why I'm saying getting training is like essential.
Right. And is that sometimes hard to concentrate when you're, say, doing a production, you're emotionally invested, but then you have to also remember, I got to put my foot on this spot here in order to hit the light, and does that kind of take you?
No, because after a while it becomes mechanical.
Okay.
But you don't want it to become mechanical because you want to still have like that extra thing in there, right? That makes it look like you're not just like
I'm gonna walk over here now.
Oh, time to go over here.
Because then you're right. The audience notices that, and then they don't believe you.
Exactly. So it's like every time, like trying to find something new to pull yourself through it. So it's like doing a play for like a million times.
Yeah.
You know? It's like after a while, it's
that would be awkward.
You don't want it to get like
even
that.
when I'm walking down the street and then I notice, like I'm conscious I'm walking down the street, I like walk weird, right? So
yeah, me too. That's funny. I was just thinking about that the other day.
But that's got to be weird, like, you know, on theater, not to walk weird. Okay, now I'm going to walk over here. I'm not going to walk weird.
But that's when they say remain present in what you're doing, right? Okay, so you're remaining present in the thing, and so other things they don't matter.
They don't matter, okay.
Because you're just getting to like the story, and then when you're done, then it becomes like yourself, right?
Right. And the audience, you're still very aware they're there, or they kind of melt away and you're in this character now, and...
Yeah, sometimes I've been in like like even doing Dear Woman before, I've like blacked out like a little bit.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I'm like near the end of the play and I'm like, holy shit.
Right,
it's like, did I do
Did I do?
Like I was like, wait, where am I?
That's
Like it's happened before. Like it's like so into it, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then you're like, holy crap! I'm like, I'm almost done.
Right.
But what we were talking about, like audiences, when we went to like Australia, when we were in Edinburgh, like doing it for mostly a non-Indigenous audience.
Right.
It was refreshing when there was Indigenous people in the audience because they would laugh, and our humor is it's dark, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
We laugh at like, that's how we're still here, basically.
That's right.
It's like smallpox.
Yes, right.
You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. It's like something about permission. Like they don't feel like they have the permission to laugh with us.
Right, I understand.
But
right,
it's
right,
like,
right,
it's
right.
weird. It's like if they're just laugh and let it like react to you.
That's right. Right.
And then you get to somewhere like Australia when most of the audience is Indigenous and they're like, oh, and they get right into it. And the energy is different, right?
Right.
Where it almost makes you get too excited where you rush.
Oh, okay.
So it's like learning how to
right.
sustain that excitement.
Right.
And stuff like that, because you're like, oh, they're loving it, you know.
Must be hard to keep it in, though, especially if it's a
like,
character where you have to be solemn. Right.
It's all part of your training and knowing like how to move in those situations.
And have nothing sort of throw you off. Like, what if there's someone in the front audience like this? Like, would you be focused on them or
I don't know,
not look at them for the rest of the show?
No, one time I got like in like real big trouble this time because I was like, that person in the front of the audience was blah, blah, blah. And the director's like, you're not even supposed to be looking at the audience. And it's like, point taken.
That's right.
So then you don't do it anymore, so it's above, right?
Okay.
Never look at people. I've like seen people. It's funny because like in Dear Woman, that's like our funniest joke. Like, you know, the man spread. So they're sitting in the audience
that's
like this, but
yes.
at the end, they're not sitting like that.
Yeah, no. Everyone's cross-legged.
Or like this one time, there's like, I forget, like, so the chairs, like, they were up like this, but there was only one exit, and it was on the side to get down.
Okay.
And that part of the scene started happening, like, at the end when she's, like, doing the big gesture for her sister. And this guy got so panicked that he, like, pushed his way through all the chairs and like took off around to the back of the theater and like was standing there and was like hyperventilating.
Oh, really?
I was
wow.
like, oh, I must have went too real.
Yeah. And where was this? In what city?
This was in Sydney.
Oh, in Sydney. Okay.
No. It was in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Wellington, that's where we were. I think the theater was called Bats Theater.
Okay.
Well, yeah, there was only one way to get in, right? To get onto the chairs, it was like on that side, and he like just could not, and he like panicked, and
okay,
like you hear him like breathing, and I was just like, I'm just gonna finish this.
Was he okay afterwards? Everything worked out?
Yeah, I don't know if somebody talked to him. I don't.
Okay. Oh, I saw him being taken away in an ambulance.
I don't talk to him.
Well, that's great. So we're coming up. We just have a couple of minutes left on the show. Any thing you want to promote to people now, or any projects you have coming up, or anything you want to be a part of?
Well, I am a part of Thompson Highway's 70th birthday.
Okay.
In Ottawa. So there's a lot of wait, hold on. Patty Shaughnessy wrote me the best thing to describe it, because you know, start going all off might mess it up. She gave me notes. Okay.
That's important.
It's called Kizagitin, I Love You, Thompson Highway 70th Birthday Celebration, featuring Thompson on piano with an ensemble of singers, National Arts Centre on December 11th.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is that going to be broadcast or streamed live in some way?
I don't know. I don't even know about those things. Sometimes it's weird, and also because of where it gets really hard for people to do that, I think, is unions. Because it's at the National Arts Centre, and they're always like this and this, and you need to do this, and don't pick that up because you have to.
That's right. Right. So
it's like you can't even like move things sometimes. They're like, no, someone from the union needs to move that.
Yes, there's always these.
It's real crazy. So
sometimes, that's kind of a difficult thing to navigate.
Yeah, so I don't know where that lies, but I know it's going to be a really good show.
Well, that's fantastic. And you're obviously a fan of Thompson Highway. You were in the Res Sisters.
I was in the Res Sisters like 4 times.
That's right. And that was I noticed one showed at Magnus Theatre. Was that in Thunder Bay? At Magnus Theatre, okay.
Yeah. Holy Thunder Bay's
That's right. Well, we're originally from
quite
Thunder
the
Bay.
town.
It is quite the town, we'll say, yes.
Walking around just looking brown like me, just getting accosted. I'm like, whoa.
I'd have to do a whole episode on Thunder Bay, a podcast.
Totally. I just feel like I'm back in Alberta, where the racism is right in your face.
Thunder Bay, it's an interesting town, we'll say. It seems like their music got stuck in 1996, that playlist, and just never changed.
Exactly. That's how I feel when I go back to Alberta.
Road and right.
It's like as soon as I go there, I'm like, what the heck? I feel like I got, like it's stuck, right?
That's right.
It's just like the same time, and it just happens over and over and over. That's probably why I had to leave.
Right. It feels like after they got the album Pearl Jam 10, they stopped getting albums to the radio station. That's right. Exactly.
The guy who never says anything. Right. What is it? No vowels?
No vowels?
Guy, the singer from Pearl Jam?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes,
he never says like the full word.
That's right. Eddie Vedder, right. There's someone who does a good take on different eras of modern music. Fred Armisen, he does this thing. I'll see if I can post it later. But he does it spot on. Cool. Great. So the show's coming up, NAC, and there's a bunch of other people on that bill as well.
Yeah, superstars. Totally.
That'd be great. Well, if we find out that it'll be televised or anything or shown, then for sure we'll
absolutely
post a link. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And it sounds like someone's alarm's going off. Is that my alarm? Anyways, there's a beeping. We'll figure out what that is. Hopefully it's not an explosive device. Well, thank you again, Cherish, and thank you for tuning into the show.
Thank you.